Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about one of the most common conditions that affect your foot, plantar fasciitis. I'm going to explain to you what it is, what it feels like, and share with you 3 things that you can do today to help improve your symptoms. If you're new to my channel, I am Anna Maria, a physiotherapist and Pilates instructor. And over the past 18 years, I have seen many people coming through the clinic and into my Pilates classes complaining about the same symptoms that affect your foot and this condition. And I want to share with you 3 main things that you can do today that are based on current evidence, but also that have helped my patients get better and back doing what they love most. So if you like the sound of this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel for weekly releases. So let's dig in. First of all, what is plantar fasciitis? So plantar fascia is actually a piece of connective tissue, a thick fibrous tissue that runs from the base of your heel and into the foot and into the toes. Its main role is to support the arch of the foot and to support the structure of the foot when we are in weight-bearing positions. And this will be when we're standing, when we're running, or when we are simply just walking about. So that is what it's supposed to do, like a shock absorber to all the impact into the foot. It doesn't need to be high impact, it can be just normal, simple walking and standing. Symptoms normally include pain and stiffness, particularly very early morning or after a period of rest. So morning is that few steps. Sometimes it's painful enough that it makes you hobble, and then there are times where you are sitting for a period of time and then you go to get up, and then again it's after that period of rest. Why it happens, there is a multitude of factors as to why it happens. It can be a change in training. So if you're training for a marathon, maybe you increase your training suddenly, or you change your speed, or you change your terrain. Sometimes footwear can be effective, but there isn't much evidence to support this. There are other things that are contributing to this. It can be changes in hormones. It can be a recent infection in our body that can affect the texture and function of the tissue and other things. But most commonly, it is also experienced because of age and gender, females being more prone to it than males. So the one important thing that you really need to understand is there's a big misconception with plantar fascia, with plantar fasciitis, the condition itself, that it is an inflammatory condition. So in the medical term and in the medical field, when we have something ending with itis, it normally relays that there's some inflammation. But we know through recent research, even though inflammation might have started in the beginning, it is not the cause of our symptoms. And this is very important, because this is why when you're doing things like putting ice on it, rolling it on a bottle of ice that's been in the freezer, or putting anti-inflammatory gel, or taking anti-inflammatory pills, or doing anything that is remotely related to try to decrease the inflammation, your pain and symptoms don't go away. Yes, let that sink in a little bit, and this is why, because there's no real underlying inflammation going on. The pain that is being driven in your foot is because it is a degenerative type of condition. So it's a condition that gets worse over time. The tissue in itself gets more sensitive to things and load. So things like weight bearing, which is like standing, or your own training, they just get more sensitive to load. We know that it's the tissue in itself behaves more like a tendon in our body than anything else. So it's not an inflamed tissue, it's an irritated and more sensitive tissue, so to speak. So that is why all the things that maybe you've been trying have not been working. Even rolling it on a ball like this, or a spiky ball, all of that could potentially make it even worse. So what's going to help? Stick around and I will help you. So again, if you have liked the video so far and you want to know more, please don't forget to like, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for weekly releases. So let's give you what you want. So the 3 main things that you need to focus on are the following. First of all, adapt. What do I mean by adapt? So adapt means adapt what you're doing. So if you're an athlete or a sports person, if you've suddenly experienced this pain, adapt what you're doing. If you're training for a specific event, it doesn't mean you have to stop completely, but it means that you might have to change what you're doing. Don't continue progressing and pushing through what you're supposed to be doing, because pain might get worse. Whereas if you take a step back and maybe you do things to help keep your cardiovascular fitness high, meaning you can do some rowing, cycling, and non-impact work, such as swimming as well, for a couple of days to a week until you do the next exercise that I will be sharing with you, until it calms back down. And then when it calms back down to a level, normally we talk about 0 to 10 pain, we're looking at it being less than 5, you can then maybe start going back to your activity and then see how that responds and then progress from there. So adapting what you're doing. If you're not an athlete and you, for example, your work involves standing up and this is where it came from, maybe try and take more frequent breaks. Sit down more often. If your footwear isn't as supportive as ideal, then maybe try wear a pair of trainers a bit more comfortable. Even if research is not fully saying that the change in footwear would change this, but it might give it a little bit more support for the time being. But sitting down and giving periods of rest will help. So adapting what you're doing is key so that it doesn't get any worse and it starts becoming less sensitive. So adaptation means that you are giving it a bit of space to breathe, whilst you do some more things in the background, which I'm going to continue sharing with you, to maybe help it get less sensitive and then get back to what you want to do more quickly. So the second bit is flexibility. Now, it's important to note that the tissue in itself, the plantar fascia, is not supposed to be too flexible or too stiff. Everyone's tissue is different. Some people are going to be more flexible, some people are going to be less flexible. But what we do know is there are certain parts in our body that can contribute to loading more that area. And this includes the big toe joint, a little bit of your ankle, and the rest of your tissue, which goes into your calf, your hamstrings, and your glutes. So instead of rolling your foot or really trying to stretch it out, you want to aim at improving a bit more flexibility into your toe. And this could mean by holding the foot down and just moving and fully pulling your toe a little bit. You can also do things where you're stretching or moving your ankle. You can foam roll your calf, your hamstrings, and your glutes and your lower back, and that will release all the chain on the back of your leg, and that will help you even if you are standing or doing impact work like running, and that will help the stride even more and will release the tension onto your foot, and that will decrease your pain. There are also some simple stretches that have shown to help improve pain and function, and these are things like holding your heel down and then pulling and putting some tension on the plantar fascia. By doing that, we're gently stretching and putting tension through the plantar fascia in a controlled way to help decrease the sensitivity to when it goes into other positions, which are the weight-bearing positions, and it's stretched in that way. So doing controlled stretches and not doing too many too quickly onto it. I will leave a link to the research where it will give you the amount of repetitions and how much you need to do these stretches in the description box below. And the last bit, which I've gently just brushed upon, is loading. Yes, so you might be confused with this, but if you are experiencing pain when you are actually loading it, because we know that the tissue, the plantar fascia itself, is a tissue that behaves like a tendon. We know through research that tendons like load. They prefer load, and they will get better by controlling the load progressively and gently getting it back to normal by doing simple, easy loading. So the first thing you want to do, and you will be doing it, is when you stretch it gently and controlling and in a controlled fashion, you are loading it. And you are loading it in a position where it elongates and it becomes less sensitive. Then there are exercises which involves you going up on tiptoes from the floor, and there are exercises going off the step and loading in that direction. Again, when you do these are non-impact loading type of exercises, but you are doing them in a controlled environment and in an amount of reps that will control the amount of pain. As always, with every single one, you want to make sure that your pain level lies always below the 5 on 10 mark. It's very subjective and everyone will feel the pain differently, but if you just make sure that that pain level doesn't keep on increasing, you know you're on the right track. I will leave a description of exactly the amount of repetition based on what research has found that it helps on decreasing pain and function on these both of exercises. But one most important thing to take away from this video is to remember that this is not an inflammatory condition. It is one that predominantly started a long time ago before your symptoms have started, and it gets worse over time. It needs three main things: for you to adapt what you're doing, for you to improve your flexibility elsewhere in your body to help decrease the load through it, and to load it more efficiently. And those three things will help you get back quickly to what you love to do. That's it for me today. If you have liked this video, don't forget to comment below, subscribe to my channel for more weekly video releases. I will see you next time. Bye bye.